This episode is supported by Battlefoam.com.
Humanity has been driven from Earth, but now it's time to take it back. Join the Reconquest and fight the Scourge on the Drop Zone Commander Hub at beastsofwar.com. Flames of War brings you the battles of World War II in epic 15mm scale. Go to the hub on beastsofwar.com to find news, tactics, and tutorials about the game.
Good morning and welcome to the Weekender. It's gaming time, but we're all dosed with the cold. At least myself and Ben is. So this is.
I have a rough throat and a runny nose, but not much
This
else.
is full-on YouTube sniffle vision that you're tuning into this morning. So bear with us as we sniffle our way through the entire episode. We'll get. What do you see? The excitement will set in, and we'll be cured. Right. Next weekend, first thing, get some business out of the way. Next weekend, there will be no Weekenders because we're live blogging. We're live blogging from SmogCon.
Yes.
Both you guys heading over to that.
Ben actually doesn't have to go anywhere. It's in Birmingham.
All right.
I live there, so...
Oh, happy days. What are you expecting to see?
Well, we've got the guys from War Machine running a ton of events. I believe the guys from GameMat EU are going to be there, so I'm going to be getting a stop off with them, bit of a chat. And a little birdie tells me we may actually have a discount code for the Backstagers.
Ooh,
yes.
That'd be kind of cool.
So,
that'd be kind of cool.
Keep an eye out for that, lads?
Okay.
And ladies.
In other news, we in the show we have some cool new buildings from Bandua to show you. We have John's tool. It's a hot one this week.
Oh, it's a big hot one.
It's a big, long, hot one for you. You'll enjoy this. Unfortunately, there is no Warren meets Matt.
Hang fire. There is.
No, it's not.
I caught you with a mat.
Nice man. Dude!
Fabulous stuff.
Dude!
What?
Are you stalking me now? Honestly, Ben, I come in the mornings and I see this little bush furiously vibrating every morning. No problem at all. Hang on a sec.
I'm watching you.
But I have to do something to entertain myself. Come on! Some of the footage I get there is unbelievable. It's hilarious.
I don't want to know. Iron Maiden Prowler. That's what we need to be playing right now. Right. Yeah. Apologies. I'll be introducing you to more mats soon. We're reaching out to pick a few more interesting ones.
But not for 2 weeks.
Not for 2 weeks. Remember, no Weekenders. Next weekend, live blogging with prizes.
Yes.
Okay.
And if you're a Backstager and you're in Birmingham, make sure and jump onto the forums and see if we can get a live Backstager meetup on the go.
Yes, and if you're from Birmingham and you know of a suitable bush that Justin would like to hide in, just let us know. Right, time to pick some winners. Will we make some people happy?
Yeah.
Okay,
yeah.
Get your jammies ready. It's time for the jammy dance. First up, we've just had a fabulous Wrath of Kings themed week.
I loved it.
We have 4 winners and a mega winner. Our 4 winners are from Facebook, Dana Skaggs. From YouTube, Paul S.
Yep. From BOW, we've got Gobo. And from BOW again, we have Weird Hunter.
Awesome. Remember, claim your prize. Click up on beastsofwar.com. You'll see a contact us menu in the top corner where you can claim your prize. The mega winner is a BOW member, and it's Landmaster of Lancaster. So
that's a bit of a mouthful.
Congratulations, Landmaster of Lancaster.
Yeah, so what you guys have won is the Honor and Treachery 2-player starter set. I believe it's that for the regular winners, and then the expanded prize for the mega prize is actually an additional Goritzi and Nasir starter set.
Yeah, so armies, love it. We also have the winners from the Mythic Battles Pantheon competition. So we'll round robin this one, guys, so as we can get through these. So we had 15 mystery miniature winners, okay?
Yes.
First up, we have Jari Dewart from YouTube.
Yep, we then have Sam Bateman from YouTube. Ted?
Then we've got Richard Blacklock from Facebook.
We have Henrik Jensen from Facebook.
Then we have James Edwards from Beasts of War.
Real Juan from YouTube.
I was hoping Warren would get that
I'm
one.
glad I didn't get
I was hoping I
that
didn't get that
one.
one.
We have Brewer 1980 from Beasts of War.
We have Red Santo from Beasts of War.
Red Santino.
Oh, Santino.
Santino!
Apologies. Another one I hoped he would get.
We have Joseph Mallon from Facebook.
We have Stephen Poulin from Facebook.
We have Wild Bull from BOW.
We have Ramesses 2 from Beast of War.
Ramesses. We have Mark Ryan from YouTube.
Yep, we have Sheila Joyner from YouTube.
And finally, John Pope from Facebook as well.
Awesome. And then finally, we have our
16th winner.
16th winner who has won Atlas. You can either have it unpainted or painted by the Mythic Battles studio. And the winner of that is Turbo Cooler from Beasts of War. Congratulations. Okay, also a reminder, we put out a Let's Play this week.
Yes.
A Let's Play with a difference.
Yes, it is.
Because this week, our Let's Play had Leo versus Benoit from Mythic Battles. So any of you guys that have backed that, we've been kind of watching. We're going to be doing content over the next year to keep you guys entertained. So between that and stuff that we've got planned for Kingdom Death Monster, we're just going to try and keep you entertained and explore the whole thing with you over the course of the next year, all in the build-up to the pledges and stuff shipping.
We're going to get as many games as we can with the guys at Mythic Battles.
Absolutely. So one of the requested ones was for Leo and Benoit to face off against each other. Now, this is true battle territory, because one of the overwhelming things that I saw in the comments from this is, oh, I can't believe how tense this is.
Yeah.
Like there's a rivalry between those guys.
But it's that mastermind effect that you get whenever two guys that have worked on the game get together to play, because they are calculating out every possible move before they make it. It's like watching chess masters.
Whereas myself and Justin just go with our gut and the feeling in our gonads. The only way to play, boys.
There's always something to be said for winging it.
We have some others in the can, including a 3-player and a 4-player team
Which was
match.
also requested.
Yes. And so that is Team Beasts versus Team Mythic. Team Beasts! Yeah! So stay tuned for those. They'll be coming out every 3 weeks or so. Right. I have some stuff that I want to show off.
Yes, and it's on my side of the table.
Right, so
I will grab it
if
for
you grab it, you guys might remember a while ago the buildings from a company called Bandua. So we have one built here of a previous set. So this is a building set that Bandua came out with for Infinity.
Yeah.
So let me just
Nice
get
modular
that
set.
Now, one of the interesting things about that, it was based on, if any of you guys are into your Infinity, you've probably well heard of Carlos or Bostria. Carlos is a huge friend of Beasts of War, comes on and does all the themed weeks and stuff with us. So Carlos invented this kind of box within a box type system, and then Bandua ran with it and created this kind of terrain set that was designed specifically for kind of Infinity, and it could all be stacked away.
Yeah.
It came pre-colored, and it was all kind of cool.
Yeah.
However, they have since went one better. So this is the new version of it that is not only pre-colored, but is pre-textured.
It's got like a printed paint job on the side of it, essentially.
Yeah.
Is the way I would
so
describe it.
if we can open that up, Justin.
I may have to rip the box here.
Oh dear. Let's see. We'll see if he has the strength to rip the box.
Come on. All right, let's do this cleverly.
There, you did it. Right. Let's crack it open and have a look inside. Okay, so inside you can see all of your pre-textured components. So it is still made of HDF, but the HDF this time now has a kind of I would say that's probably some form of a digital print on that. So let me try and get in a bit closer so you can actually see the textures. So they're textured on one side, okay?
Yeah.
They basically fit together as so. Well, that one doesn't fit to that
back
one.
to front. Or upside down, maybe.
There we go. So it's like so.
Yeah, it's just essentially
Okay.
a little tongue and groove joint.
So that's it fitted together.
Yeah.
I really, really like where they've been going this because they've been smart with this, Justin. Okay. Because if you look down the sides, one of the things with these kinds of kits is you can't print along the area that you're cutting with the laser.
Yes.
Right? But they've been really smart about this and chosen dark colors so that it actually blends.
Yes.
Which I think is a particularly good idea on these things because the whole point of getting this kind of kit is to leave you as little to do painting-wise and touch-up-wise. And choosing to do that meant that it's definitely one less thing for you to get.
Even at that,
Or
you
to
can
do.
still take some weathering sprays and stuff to this, dirty it up a little if you want.
Possibly. There's a slight... You'll see out there's a very slight sheen off the building.
Would you matte coat it first?
I might take a matte coat to that. I'm not sure because I've got to say, on the whole, I'm really happy with it as it is. You know, I think it's a great looking set. I really like the textures on it. I'm wondering if this is early days for this kind of printing technology on this, and will the textures become more high resolution? Because the resolution could potentially be a little bit higher, but it might be a limitation of the material itself because sometimes resolution is limited by the
what you're
material that you're printing to. Yeah.
Well, you see, it's all from the Ready for Battle range, right? So on their website, they actually have quite a few things here. So what we have is the Q Building Beta.
Okay.
You've also got the Gamma, which is a different.
Well, let's go
pattern
into
to
the beta there. Do we have a look at it and see it in all its glory, fully built?
All right, let me open a new tab here just to make this easy. And if I go to here,
there we go. Now, Justin,
it's a clever design.
it is.
You know,
It
it's effective and it's simple.
And ultimately you go with that for its space-saving capacity, right?
Yeah.
The fact that you can take it all,
Containment of the beast, which we've always talked about.
put it all together. It's one of the difficult things with terrain. We all love to have loads of terrain, especially in Infinity,
Yeah.
where you want to get really, really good terrain density to really liven up all the ARO and stuff like that. So this is an ideal way to do that, but still to be able to store it out of the way. So.
Yeah, exactly.
And the other interesting thing about it is, although we're showing it stacked 3 here, if you pass that over again, Justin.
Yeah. I actually did this on the camera while I was stacking it.
You do get 3, it is 3 individual buildings. So you could quite easily either
Cover a
put them
fair-
down as 3,
Yeah,
as so,
cover a fair bit of ground with it.
or, what I tend to do is that kind of a thing there. And sometimes you even put wee bits and pieces across there that you can.
But you can
jump
also
across.
as easily just grab that there,
You could, yep.
like so.
There's a lot of versatility with it.
Yeah.
It is really, really interesting. So I like where they're going with this. I like this idea. I had seen this. The first place I had seen this kind of printing on HDF was actually in the Early Learning Center.
Really?
Yep. The Early Learning Center is a kind of a place where you can go to buy toys for your kids, and they sell wooden toys and things like that. And one of the things that they had that I was like, oh, I got to get me one of them, was a castle, right?
Right.
And it was a castle made out of thicker MDF,
Yeah.
okay? So it was a big, hardcore thing, but all of the detail had been printed on, either screen printed or digitally printed, whatever way they do this. And I looked at it and go, it's only a matter of time before that makes it into our industry, and that all the HDF kits start to have these kinds of digital prints and things like that. It'll be interesting to see where they go with this, because it's to me, it's like everything else. It's potentially the potential of where that technology can go. How accurate can it be? What kind of different finishes can you get?
Yeah,
And,
you see, for me, the one thing I always wonder about is, I've talked to a few ones and they talk about whenever you put something additional onto the top of the HDF before you actually cut it with the laser,
Yes.
depending on what that new layer is, you can actually release different gases and stuff that you're essentially vaporizing.
Yes.
So it's the science behind it's kind of interesting to see what they can do with it in that way.
Who would
It's
have
not going to
thunk?
kill someone.
Who would have thunk that lasers were dangerous?
Yeah.
But they are dangerous, and
Yeah.
it's
Just
for
not the way you think.
for anybody working in this kind of environment. The danger in them is actually from the fact that a laser doesn't burn per se, and it doesn't cut. It actually vaporizes, and that word is key, vaporizes, because it takes that material and it basically turns it into a vapor. And some of the chemical reactions from the heat can actually cause that vapor of whatever it is you're burning to become highly toxic.
Yeah.
Like, not dead over a period of time, but dead very quickly.
Yeah, or if you
overcome
don't
with the
actually
fumes.
clear out your filters and stuff. I've talked to a couple of ones who said you have to be very particular with getting your filters and getting your ventilation right, because if you don't, the actual particulate buildup of the burnt wood can become very flammable.
Oh yeah, and your thing can go on fire.
So you go poof.
But one of the things that they do in these kinds of things is they sometimes have a paper that goes over the top. If I show you, they have a paper that kind of goes over the top of the thing that they're burning, and then they peel the paper off. And then, do you know all that kind of smoke effect that you can sometimes see on a laser kit?
Yeah.
It comes off with the paper because the vaporized smoke stays on top of the paper, which means you get a nice clean finish on what's underneath. So this is the kit to build these kinds of advertising holographic.
Well, I have them on
see.
screen here for us. So this is they do 2 sets of these. This is the second one. So this is their holographic advertisements for Infinity, which it's really nice because you've got some of that classic Infinity artwork in there, some of the business signs and stuff, which is always nice to see. You know, it makes the world a little more real.
We've got them here. So there's your Aztec Residencia. Now I think that there's actually a little bit of a film on this one.
Is he about to pull the pattern off?
Well, let's see if I'm about to pull the pattern off.
Let me grab one here.
Okay, so
I'll have a look too.
Here we
These
go.
are actually my favourite things from what they brought out for this Ready for Battle range. I really enjoyed seeing the stuff
see
they
how
did for the
vibrant.
holographic signs. Yeah.
Oh wow!
Look at the difference.
Yeah.
Isn't that beautiful? You know, business cards, Justin. We're going to get to the stage where there'll be business cards like this, and they'll have data chips and stuff in them. and
This
you go,
here one is one of my
awesome.
favorite pieces of Infinity artwork, in fact.
Yeah,
Because it's one of the ones where you can actually see a little bit into the world.
yeah.
You know,
Really,
beautiful stuff.
really nice. So there you have it. That's the Bandua Q building beta. Can we see the other one quickly while we have it, have it up there? So
you want to see the gamma, yeah?
yes, please. Yeah.
So let me load this up for us. Bring it up big. And so it's the same building. It's just got more of an industrial feel to it.
I like that one too. Yeah.
Or maybe a military.
That's really nice. That is really nice. So there you have it. If you're into your Infinity stuff and you fancy some space-saving terrain, have at it, guys. Other than that, for anybody else, I think it's a really interesting piece of technology, and it'll be interesting to see where it takes us.
Yeah.
Right. We're going to be back with the news in just a few minutes, or a couple of minutes. In the meantime, let's tell you a little bit about some hubs.
Anime cyberpunk style meets skirmish combat in Infinity. Experience 8 high-tech factions and fight to control the human sphere at the Infinity Hub on beastofwar.com. Fight for the Iron Kingdoms as a warcaster. Take control of the mighty jacks, arcane devices, and dark sorceries to bring the fight to the War Machine Hub on beastofwar.com.
Right, we're back. It's time for that part of the show. What's going on in the world, Ben? Time for some news.
Yeah, so we're kicking things off with a little bit of news from Kings of War. Now, we know that Mantic have been looking towards, adding towards this sort of tournament style, but they're also going to be growing a bunch of their armies over the next couple of months, and the first one of these comes in February, and it's for the Trident Realm, so we're starting to see a lot more for these guys, leading off with the Thule Mysticans and his troops and things. So these are a range of sort of cross octopus and halfling, as they say in their fluff behind these guys.
Yeah.
So they're little tiny weird creatures that have come up from the depths, and they're starting to take over the land and stuff, led at the head of the larger armies of the Trident realms, and they're also joined with some very, very cool models that I think everybody's been looking forward to, and they were the River Guard, and these are sort of like the vanguard troops for the Trident realms. They're sort of the guys that live in the rivers and the swamps further inland that they can't get to, and they're an army of frogmen. I mean, you can't get much better than that. Very, very cool indeed, and they look fantastic with their little skirmishing bits and pieces. Very, very cool. And you also get some big, huge monsters too. So they've been working on these huge crab-like beasts.
Giant enemy crabs!
Yeah.
Sorry, I had to do it.
Hit the weak spot.
Yeah, I had to do it.
Yeah.
They look like they would do massive damage.
They look as if they look kind of familiar, like as the Mars Attack set that they do.
Yeah.
They look like something that has been repurposed, maybe.
No.
No?
No, they're entirely different. They're entirely different.
But those are called the Geigers. Those. So, yeah. So, yeah. And it all comes together in a large selection of armies that they've been putting together as well. So you can see the image there for the Mega Force, but they've also got a smaller army as well. If you wanted to, just get started with these guys rather than sort of take the full plunge, as it were. Yeah. But some really good stuff for these guys, and there's bound to be plenty more coming in the future as well. I know they've been working a lot on stuff to do with the sort of what effectively would be dark elves and things, so keep an eye out for more from those guys.
Absolutely. I've got to say that everybody loves fishmen. Everybody loves fishmen, so having a fishman army.
Well, who doesn't like frogmen?
Well,
exactly.
In D&D, did they not have
bullywugs?
Bullywugs.
Yep.
Yeah. Yep. And there were also there was another type as well. I think it was Croatoa or something as well. They were also a type of sort of strange underground creature as well. That was a little bit like a. But yeah.
Lovely.
Well, maybe they were fishmen. I don't know. One of the two.
Well, fishmen get a big thumbs up from us, so I'm happy about that.
Yeah, right. I know you want a sci-fi fisherman army just so they can have fish tanks.
Very good.
Very good. We have some Dark Age stuff coming.
Yeah, so another big, huge release set for February. So more releases. Yeah. And this is for both the core, who got their starter box, if you remember, last month, and also the Shadowcast, who've been slowly getting a lot of their bits and pieces over the last couple of months since Gen Con last year and stuff as well. So we're kicking things off with possibly one of my favorite models in what they've put out for this month, and that is Lightbringer. Yeah. And this is a fantastic bit of background behind it, in that the core are trying to repurpose a lot of the Archangel suits that are used by some of the other factions, and so they've taken it and they've bound it together, and they're starting to use the power within it for their own means and stuff. And I think it looks fantastic model. Yeah.
I remember discussing this with the guys from Kilmeny. Sorry? I remember discussing this with the guys from Kilmeny when they were across with us the last time, and they said this guy was coming. They've done a fantastic job of actually getting this sculpt to work perfectly.
Yeah. And this leads on to a whole bunch of other cool releases as well for the core. So you've got the Raptor 7, who are sort of like their quick and agile troops that are going around there trying to secure objectives or stop people from attacking before they get to places and things, which are very, very cool. And then you've got a couple of boxes of different menials as well. So you've got the Spartans, who are sort of a little bit sort of like their ranged troops, their standard range troops, and then the Titan, which is a bit more of a big burly bruiser, as it were, that would sort of step in the way and hold objectives and stuff. So yeah.
They are flipping fantastic. And what about for the Shadowcast, Ben? What have we got?
Yeah, so for the Shadowcast, we're leading off with Nedrea, who is fantastic, and then we've got a bunch of other releases for these as well. We've got the Striga and the Wrath, and it finishes off with the Lesser Spiderlings as well. So we're starting to see the final bits coming out for the Shadowcast to make them that more rounded faction that we found. We saw at Gen Con, as we said last year. Once again, it's fascinating seeing the kind of sort of clash of aesthetics that we see in the Shadowcast, because you've got that really nice sort of lithe and agile killer look, but then you've got some of the other models that are a little bit more heavily armored and not quite as in tune with the rest of them, but yet they still fit, and it's just fascinating seeing them all to come together, and just like the kind of weapons and armor that they've been using as well. And interestingly as well, I was talking about it in the post there about how the color scheme is fantastic. It's great to see the sort of like purples and pinks and blacks and stuff. But it would be interesting to see if someone approached this from a very, very different style. Did them with a different color, maybe greens or blues. It would be very cool to see how they looked in a different color scheme. But,
No, it's I particularly like that Nedrai. That model is just beautiful.
I don't know. The core are calling out to me more and more, seeing those repurposed machines turned into it's not that
The
they're
little
identical.
Tyrannodogs look amazing, though. I've got to say.
the raptors, yeah.
It's not that they're being turned into killing machines. They're feeding machines. They actually feed the main core.
Yeah.
Which just the background for them is just fantastic. Although I actually did hear from the guys over at Culminate. Last weekend was the Las Vegas Open, and one of them actually lost one of the Blood Gelt, which is the entry ticket to the Immortals tournament for this year.
Oh no!
Yeah, so we actually have a couple of them here. So if you go to the front camera, you see Vader there is holding one of them.
This is a Blood Gelt here.
Yes.
Now watch this here. Where do you see this?
So these, yeah, literally solid metal. This is essentially your entry into the 2017 Immortals tournament.
So one of the competitors lost their ticket.
Not one of the competitors, one of the Cool Mini team.
Uh-huh.
So the Cool Mini team, if they're at events and stuff, they'll have a few of these with them, and if they have their stuff with them, you can play against them, and you could possibly win your way into the Immortals tournament. And if you win the Immortals tournament, that's the one that actually lets you get turned into a miniature.
So when you say he lost his gelt, he didn't lose it down the back of the sofa or down
No,
the
he
toilet
lost
or
it
something.
to
He
somebody.
actually lost it to someone. Now it starts to make sense.
Yeah,
Okay.
sorry, I should learn to explain things better. Get my words out.
Right, okay.
But no, I thought that was a cool one to mention, because everybody should know that you can actually win these. And actually, because we have these, if we have time and you can get the challenge in, you could maybe win one off one of the team in here.
Oh, so if somebody comes here and plays Dark Age against us,
That we have to put it up.
they could win. They could win a Blood Gelt.
Yeah, because
That'd be a really easy way to get in there, boys.
we've got a few of these kicking about. So, take your chance, guys, if you're here and we have time.
Right. Well, do you know what? There's an open challenge. If you fancy coming across and doing a little battle report with us, okay, on Dark Age, we will put up our Blood Gelts. Yeah. We will put up our Blood Gelts, and so you could come and try to beat us, because we are effectively
And suddenly the
unbeatable.
European champion comes across to Ireland.
I remember how many sixes I was able to roll. So I was like,
Warren,
you give me that mama,
Stop.
and I'm there. So.
It wasn't sixes.
It was ones.
No, it was 20s.
20s.
Or was it? It was one or the other. I can't
Well,
remember.
whatever it was.
Whatever it was.
Come across, and there are gelts up for grab.
Yeah.
If you think you're hard enough.
All right, Warren, you're a killer. You can do it. Here's your dice. Hold me back. Hold me back. Give me the dice.
In other important news, Kulmanir, I don't know who it's related to. We're looking at the resurrection of Confrontation.
Ta-da!
Now, Ben, let me get this right. Now, Confrontation was a Rackham game. Okay.
Yes. Yeah.
Then there was bits and pieces of being sold by a couple of obscure places in France, like Ludic's Bazaar and stuff like that. There, but then Cool Mini or Not then seemed to take over Rackham, or not Rackham, Confrontation.
Yeah.
Confrontation. Yeah.
But what's happening to it now? Because it all seems to be coming back again.
So from what's been happening in the comments and what we've been seeing on social media over on Facebook and things, it seems like a company called Sans Detour has now got the rights to bring back Confrontation in an entirely new way, based on the original games. So from what we've seen in the press release, which actually came out in English towards the end of the week as well, we should be looking at both a board game, a skirmish game, or sort of a mix of the two, and also a range of collector miniatures that obviously you use in the game and for collectors themselves to pick up. Now, this is quite interesting, because a lot of people have said, as you rightly pointed out, that everybody thought Core Mini had something to do with this, but it looks like maybe that just never came to pass.
Yeah.
And so things have shifted over, and someone else has picked up the license and stuff. It all seems very official. A lot of people are crossing their fingers, and maybe a few people are throwing a couple of bags of salt at things. It does look like this is actually going to happen, and it should be coming out towards, maybe the end of this year, start of next one, which would be quite interesting. One of the big things they talked about is that they're going to be moving on the storyline from where it ended, where everything just went to hell. The Ragnarok happened, and all these things just went, haywire and crazy, and so they're going to be reforging the factions in a slightly different way, so you'll have a lot of maybe a little bit of crossover and things like that. And also they're going to be trying to take a lot of the artwork and stuff that was done by the original designers and bring that back out from the archives and create miniatures based on that. What it means for a bunch of the other companies out there that do sort of confrontation style miniatures, going to be very interesting. A lot of people know that there's a website called Cadwallon that does do a lot of this stuff.
Yes, yeah.
But yeah, it will be very interesting to see where this goes from here, because as you say, Confrontation's got a very strange past over the last couple of years. So yeah, it'd be very interesting to see where it goes. One of the big things actually is that on our site we did have an article which I'll put in the text below and stuff, from Chris Handley, the guy who did a lot of the Kingdom Death stuff, where he went through one of the old Confrontation games. So you can have a look back at it if you don't really know what it is, and we'll talk about it a bit more and stuff when we get more news, basically. So,
well, we will be keeping an eye on it, and we will get back to you. Right.
I know there are people in France who are going to be screaming with glee over this.
Yeah.
There's some of them that were just hardcore fans of this, so they'll be really happy to see it come back.
It'll be interesting to see. Right, this week, of all of the news, the news that every Ultramarine was out furiously polishing his helmet was greeted with shock and awe. It could mean only one thing: the return of Guilliman. Right,
Yeah.
Guilliman is back.
Aye.
Roboute Guilliman.
Yeah, so Guilliman is back. The Ultramarines have all rose to attention. The helmets are highly polished. They are ready for action. Tell us what's been happening, because it's been a big week actually in 40k.
Yeah, so as you pointed out, Roboute Guilliman is back. He has been awoken. He has been resurrected. The new set that is coming out, I think it's either this weekend or next, is going to be focused around the new model for Roboute Guilliman, which looks rather cool. He's a little bit more of a sort of Age of Sigmarified look to him, I guess, compared to the Horus Heresy look.
I like it, except for the face.
Well, he does have a helmeted version as well.
Good,
so you can
because
change that around.
Because there's something that makes me feel really uncomfortable about that face. It's almost a slightly constipated look on that face.
If you want to maybe settle some things going on in your mind, a lot of people have said that he looks a little bit like Donald Trump.
Not on the show, not on the show. Leave it alone, leave it alone, leave it alone, leave it alone.
Okay.
But anyway, yes, he's also joined by Cypher, who's a very mysterious character.
I love Cypher. So
do you want to see the mini?
Yes. Now Cypher is a Dark Angel. Okay.
Yes.
And nobody really knows what he does or why he does what he does.
Exactly.
Because he is the Cypher.
Yes.
And that is such a cool model.
Yeah,
I really
think
like that.
It's really cool seeing how the evolution of the model has come on from its past, and he's, as you can see there, carrying around the Lion Sword of Lionel Johnson.
Yeah.
So what's he going to be doing with that? Is he going to be killing the Emperor with it? Is he going to be waking Lionel Johnson himself? We'll have to wait and see. I mean, a lot of people have said that this points towards the Dark Angels being, potentially the bad guys in some of this. Maybe there's some kind of strange motives going on behind there. One of the sort of more closer allies to Roboute Guilliman, who's not exactly going to be taking a lot of distrust, is the new Grandmaster Voldus as well, who's a Grey Knight. So it means the Ultramarines are battling alongside the Grey Knights as they try.
I love that.
Yeah, as they try and work out what's going on in the Imperium.
Now, just in the interest of fairness here, okay, although I think Guilliman looks constipated, that is a beautiful face. Now, as sculpts go, that's a face and a half. I love that. That is brilliant. Go back to Guilliman.
Okay. Going up.
So that's an amazing face. That's a constipated face. But the rest of it is beautiful. What's the deal with the armor from Guilliman?
So Roboute Guilliman's armor is actually been given to him by Belarius Cawl, who you remember as the character from that came as part of the Fall of Cadia set.
Yeah.
So yeah, he's been fashioning this armor for him for what seems like quite a while actually. So it means that maybe some things have been going on behind the scenes that the rest of the Imperium didn't quite know about.
Yeah.
It's a lot of people have been saying it's actually going to be very interesting seeing how Guilliman sort of deals with the Imperium now, because it's completely different from how he left it. I mean, a lot of people pointed out there was quite a few comics online of what the hell is a Tyrannid, and things like that. So and there was another quite funny comic of Marnius Calgar sitting there looking at his naked hands going, where have my gauntlets gone?
Yeah.
And stuff as well. So
I've got to say, right, if I'm lucky enough to get this model, I will do what every good Ultramarine will do, and I won't be taking Guilliman's head, but I will definitely take his helmet. So it's
Well, you do also have the option of the Forge World variant of Guilliman,
right.
which is, in my opinion, nicer.
Is it really?
It is. Let me quickly see if I can find it. Here,
Right, but while you're doing that,
Yeah.
Ben, take us through the story so far.
Okay, so we sort of got to a point before where we were talking about the fall of Cadia and how that was all happening. The way that it's sort of stepped after that is that demons invaded Bael'tan. They started to overrun it, and in the sort of panic behind this, Yvraine, who was one of the servants of Ynid, decided to awake the demon itself.
Yeah.
This god of the Eldar, and Bael'tan was utterly destroyed. It was fractured, it was broken, and stuff like that.
Well, now, where or what is Bael'tan for
so-
anybody that's new to this?
Bael'tan is one of the craft worlds. The Eldar now float around on these huge cities called craft worlds. They're sort of effectively like, imagine not really planets, but sort of fractured bits of asteroid or meteor and things like that,
Yeah.
just floating through space. But yeah, and so yes, Ynid is back. There is an aspect of her in the world. The Ynnari, who are the servants of Ynid, and are looking for what are called the Crone Swords, which are powerful artifacts of the Eldar.
Yeah.
At the same time, Craftworld Ianden, a lot of people remember these as the guys in yellow and blue. They're one of the Craftworlds that deal a lot with the death side of things. Most of their troops are, in fact, dead Eldar encased within like Wraithguard and Wraithlords.
Yes. Yeah.
That was attacked and overrun. Cadia has at this point as well utterly fallen, and the survivors, led by I can't remember her name now, but the Sister of Battle, fled to the moon of Clasius, and they have escaped actually into the Eldar webway with the Ynnari on their way towards Ultramar. So it'll be very interesting to see what happens, because there's all these survivors from Cadia, all these Imperial survivors, along with a whole bunch of the Eldar, making their way towards Ultramar, where Roboute Guilliman is.
Yeah.
And it's going to be very interesting to see where it goes from here. So yeah, the new book should be out soon, and we'll get a lot more information in sort of upcoming White Dwarfs as well.
I heard that Guilliman is heading back to meet with his father. Okay.
Again, you would expect that to happen.
So he's going back to see the Emperor, and when he gets there, one of the other Primarchs is already there. I don't know if he's been living in there or
Perhaps Rugel Dorn,
It could be Dorn.
because
It could
he
be
was the one
Dorn.
that was set the task of actually defending Terra during the last
What's
battle.
the crack with Lionel L. Johnson?
Oh, he's locked up
Ben?
in the rock.
Yeah, the Lionel Johnson was gravely injured, and so he was locked away below the rock, which is the Dark Angel fortress.
Yeah.
And he's sort of been recuperating and resurrecting over time, a little bit like what's happening with the Emperor and stuff.
Could
But
Cypher
yeah,
be
it'll
trying
interesting,
to?
so.
Well, like, do you reckon that? Like, where was Johnson's sword? Was it with him in the rock, or is Cypher retrieved it to take it back to him? And could we see Lionel L. Johnson get back up as well?
See, here's the problem. There was one of the books I read for the Dark Angels, which was actually them capturing one of the Fallen, right?
Yeah.
And the way the Dark Angels work is, it's like layers of secrets, sort of really Illuminati type stuff, right?
Yep.
And so you have the circles in the inner circle and the inner circle.
Yes.
And at the end of the book, if I remember right...
Careful now, because Gulliman's ears just pricked up there.
But
so,
there were
okay,
talks of, this Fallen hearing the screams within the belly of the rock.
Yes.
And it sort of alluded to the fact that was perhaps Lionel Johnson. So it might be the fact that the Dark Angels actually locked up the Primarch, because there was a chance within this story that he had actually betrayed the Emperor, or was holding back to see which side was going to win before committing himself. And he actually blew up his own home planet in the book.
Whoa!
The things you remember.
This is cool. Do we not think that it would perhaps be a little obvious if the Dark Angels turned out to be the bad guys?
Well,
Do you not reckon that we're more likely to see them being painted as the bad guys until this last redeeming moment when they were able to prove that they were the good guys all along?
possibly.
That's kind of how it's been. That's kind of how it's come across from the side of the Thousand Suns and Magnus the Red, because he's been doing this thing where he's been sort of turning the chapters against each other and painting both the Dark Angels and the Space Wolves in this bad light. saying that they're either corrupt or they're doing things wrong and stuff, and sort of playing them off against each other. So it would be very interesting. I mean, maybe Cypher's pulling the ultimate sort of Severus Snape from Harry Potter kind of thing, sort of working in the background as a servant of chaos.
I think
he's actually working as a good guy. But,
I think that's a much more interesting character proposition than them coming out just one side or the other. I think for the Dark Angels, it has to be one final moment that defines them.
I'm wondering where the Alpha Legion is in all this, because their Primarchs are both they're Primarchs because they have two in the one bloody chapter. What they're up to, and they were always sort of the Black Ops Space Marines.
Yes.
So I'm hoping we'll maybe see some of them mixed in with it.
Well,
now, would you like to see the other miniature of Guilliman?
Yes. Show me the other Guilliman.
Look at that.
That
is so much nicer to me. It's crisp. It's clean.
It's
got that real Romanesque feel to it.
That is flipping lovely there, and he doesn't look constipated at all. Look at that. There is a face of satisfaction.
It's just such a Romanesque face. It's very Caesar-like.
Yeah, Justin, do you know what? When you're right, you're right. That is a better model. Yeah, absolutely. Right. I'll tell you what. This 40k story is really starting to ramp up now. It'll be interesting to see which of the Primarchs is already there with the Emperor. We want to find out what's happening. And you know what? We want a big shift. We want either Emperor dead, or Emperor resurrected, or something along those lines. Well, but the thing about it is, where will the tension come from?
I actually just thought of another possibility as well.
Oh.
Sorry. Lyman Russ might already be there.
Why would Lyman Russ
from the Ragnar series, there's talk of him actually having left his chapter to actually go out and find a cure for his father into the stars. So maybe he's already there, or maybe one of the future stories is that Guilliman goes looking for his brother.
Yeah.
So, sorry, another brain fart.
Right, well, we will have to wait and see. What would be interesting, though, is the 40k universe is very finely perched on a knife edge. It's part of the reason that the storyline and the background of the game has been so compelling, is because it is that 2 minutes to midnight kind of thing. You know, it is that last stand of humanity, and it's just that fact that it's just so delicately perched. I am totally up for this. Move the storyline on. Okay, I think this is flipping fabulous. The courage of the guys of Workshop for doing this is, massive thumbs up from me for whatever it's worth to see it move on. However, it'll be very, very interesting to see where the tenseness is, where it's left, because it will need some of that to give it purpose. Okay, it needs some of that to make the fight for survival, or the fight for whatever it is you're fighting for, to feel meaningful. Okay, the last 30 years we've had the Emperor on his throne, waiting. Yeah. But there's always been that sense, as for the Emperor, you knew what every battle you fought ultimately was going towards. It was to try and stop that churn of death that was coming towards humanity.
Well, the number of Chaos novels that I've read, where it is them gathering up their forces to get ready for this final big push. This guy does it, this guy does it, this guy does it. Well, you've got 5 major forces ready to rock and roll. Yeah. Had to happen sooner or later.
I just hope that it's not a whole much of ado about nothing, because it'll take some very creative writing, and I'm confident that they can do it. But equally, there is a big chance that they go into this, and at the end of it, you go, oh yeah, and it was massive and stuff, but really very little changed. Or the temptation is that you change too much, and that the whole thing just implodes, and then it starts to lose the things that connected us to it in the first place.
You see, I think this is one of the things they'll have learned from Age of Sigmar, because they made that big sweeping change to it, and you've seen them backpedal a little bit, starting to reintroduce points and stuff, and things
things like
Yeah,
that.
I'm not talking about game rules at all. I have full confidence in them being able to do the game rules and stuff like that. I was just talking purely on the narrative.
I think by the very nature of the fact that now effectively 2 Primarchs have returned to the actual game world of Warhammer 40,000, and they are actively plotting, because you've got Magnus the Red, and now you've got Roboute Guilliman as well. I mean, and a new summoned god is now part of the Eldar sort of backstory. They're seriously pushing this story towards a conclusion of some kind. I wouldn't be surprised if we do see the Emperor as in a model at some point. So being like the final thing they do. So
but you might have that twist, that moment in the story where Guilliman finally reaches Terra, battles his way through to the Golden Throne, and sees his dad sitting on the Golden Throne, rotted, decayed, and just breathing his last breath.
Well, judging by his face, he's going to say, "Move over, Dad, I'm busting." Right, we will be keeping a close eye on it. It is going to be fascinating. Right, we're going to take a quick break. After the break, apologies, cover your eyes, because we're going to let John unleash his tool.
Everybody, we're here for John's tool. We're actually out of the studio today because the tool has got rather large. So what we have here is a hot wire scroll from the Hot Wire Foam Factory, I believe the company's name is. And this is actually a really, really, really handy tool for actually doing some of those bigger terrain pieces. So let me turn this on. Now we have been using this recently because we're actually cutting out a few bits. One of the things we've discovered we can do is we can actually put down a jig and then get some stuff to run out from it.
So what the tool actually does is it has this wire that runs a current through it, and that current heats up the wire. That becomes your sort of cutting element.
Yeah, this is actually smoking a little bit from a previous use.
Yeah. So what it does is it's excellent for cutting this sort of foam. So Justin, go on ahead.
Yeah, and you just go through very gently.
Yep. You can go a little bit faster because the slower you go, the wider the cut will be.
Yes, but this is why having the template on top for this particularly I find is quite good. So just let it go through. Also, the faster you go through with this, the more chance you actually have of going inside and pushing your jig up the way.
Yep.
Which we don't really want. Also, it puts more tension on the wire, and there's more chance of breaking it if you do that.
What I will say though is our good cameraman Lance is always into those like really therapeutic sounds and stuff like that. If he could get up close to that and listen to this cutting, he'd be like, "Oh, that's really nice. That is very satisfying."
Alright, so part of the way through. Now, one thing I find that's good to do with this is just once you get a side done, actually bring yourself out and away from it, because it just makes things a little bit easier. So when that comes off, with this one particularly, you get a nice straight cut that you can then put whatever your cladding or whatever it is you're going to put on the front of it is.
Yep. I assume we can vary the angle of the wire as well?
Yeah. I've actually seen this do like 45-degree cuts and stuff with this thing. It's really handy. So if I just carry on through here.
But I mean, this is an excellent piece. Once you have it set up, which doesn't take very long to do anyway.
Yeah.
You've got a very handy little cutting tool.
Yeah. Well, it's one of those things, so many people use this high-density foam for terrain. And having tools like this, it gives you the options. Because if I was trying to do this with one of the hand cutters that you get, now it has a specific sort of cut that it'll do, which is great for like doing cliffs and hills and stuff like that. Whereas this, I'm actually trying to make a bit of a platform to actually just give me a nice flat raised area that I can then maybe actually put some, I don't know, maybe wood or stonework or something like that along it. Also, don't be scared to go back if you find you went a little too far.
A steady hand may be required, but that will come with practice.
Yeah, also the thing does actually come with a guide, so if you're just doing like straight strips, you can drop that guide in and just run it as if it was like a table saw. Now, I will also say, use this in a well-ventilated space, because you do get like some fumes and stuff coming off this. You know, so last thing you want to do is, be in your garden shed, working away with this, and then it's just like, ooh, fumes going to my head.
Yeah, you start seeing rainbows and stuff, and then you have to leave the room for 5 minutes and get a cup of tea.
Yeah. And when you're done, always make sure and turn the thing off.
Mm-hmm.
That way you don't have, maybe little hands going, oh, what's that? Ah! Little safety tip for the tool.
So yeah, definitely an excellent piece of equipment. One of our favorites in the office when we come to doing our terrain projects and stuff like that. Very handy, very useful, very quick to set up.
Yes. And you sound like a QVC man.
I do. I'm taking after you, Justin. It's fast, it's reliable, it's good.
All right, so that's the basics of John's tool this week. I think we're going to be able to do some very, very cool stuff with this. It's definitely one to check out. That's the Hotwire Foam Factory.
Yep.
And they do a whole range of different stuff. So, go check them out, and we'll get back to the main show.
From Viking halls to the cities of the future, terrain buffs will love our foreground hub. Watch gaming tables of all genres come to life at beastsofwar.com. It's time for 28mm World War II action. Will you recreate history or reshape it your way? On the Bolt Action Hub at beastsofwar.com.
I love working with polystyrene. Both myself and Lloyd have been fans of polystyrene. Obviously, Lloyd has since discovered his love of cushions and all things kind of sponge and foam. But polystyrene, probably the ultimate hobbyist material. What did you make of the wire cutting though? It's handy, isn't it?
Yeah, no, it's a lot bigger than what you normally have for a hot wire cutter, right? Because normally it's just a little handheld one. But sometimes, the wire doesn't keep its tension. So it starts to get bend in it, which is no good at all.
Did you find that the bigger wire was...
Yeah, it helps.
It
really
help,
helps. It really helps because you can get it nice and straight. I mean, like that pure vertical cut to it is perfect.
Yes. The other thing that I noticed is, because I did walk past a couple of times when you were using it, it just seemed to slip through it so easily.
Yeah.
And it didn't smell half as bad as I expected it to.
You see, I think it's the type of foam you're cutting. Because if you're cutting the nasty white stuff, that stinks to high heaven. The nice pink stuff, not so bad.
No, I've always found the pink one to be really, really smelly. Yeah, if you sink your wire into the pink one, the smell that can come off it is just revolting. It is just revolting. But I noticed that whatever way you guys were working it, there was very little odor off it at all. It was in many ways it was quite pleasant.
Although the amount of residue that was left over, after you had finished your cut, you just thought it was just nasty and dripping.
Was it dripping? What was dripping?
Just the residue from where you had been cut.
Did it melt that much that it actually dripped?
Yeah, and then you just had this nasty little bit of residue smoking away at the bottom of it.
Right, okay. Well...
I think we just need to make damn sure and give it a proper clean after we're done with it.
Yes, absolutely. Because if you know what happens if you don't clean your wire?
Well, it gets nasty and dirty.
Yes, not only does it get nasty and dirty, it gets brittle. And then you could break your wire the next time you try to slip it in to the thing. It can snap.
All right.
And then there's no coming back from that.
No, fair enough.
There is no coming back from that. You just have to get a new wire.
And begin from scratch, yeah.
Yep. So, and if it does that, well, remember it's passing a current through the wire. Okay?
Yeah, you see, this is one thing I don't get, the way it works. Because you have the outlet from the wall to the machine.
Yes.
But I don't see where it completes the circuit. The
wire completes the circuit.
Yeah, but there's only one cable coming out of the box to the cutter.
Yes.
On the big one, right? There's a single cable that comes out and goes to it. Unless I'm not seeing something.
Right. Okay. Right. Let me try and explain. Ben, I'm going to get my electronics head on here. Right. Okay. So you have the socket in the wall.
Yeah.
Okay. Electricity comes out of that.
Feeds to the main control
box.
Electricity
comes out and comes into the socket, and it looks around and it says, there's a wire. I'm going to go down that wire. So they all swim down the wire, the electrics. Okay. And then the electrics all swim into the actual machine.
Yeah,
right?
into the main control box.
Okay, so
there's only one cable that comes from.
Yes, but there's two wires in that one cable. Justin,
okay, now I understand.
So what happens?
Sorry, this is me having one of those.
So
days.
what happens is the electric swims down one wire, right? It swims into the contraption, and then it swims up through the hot wire, okay. And it's that going through the hot wire which increases the heat of the wire.
All right.
And then it swims back up the wire and back up the other.
Sorry, I was being stupid. I didn't think it was a complete circuit.
Yes, it's absolutely a complete circuit because guess what?
It wouldn't work otherwise.
Exactly. Exactly.
There are
So-
moments whenever I'm just completely brainless. Apologies.
But as I was saying,
Yes.
okay, if your wire snaps, you instantaneously lose the heat. So it's no longer, the heat dissipates very, very quickly, and your wire can actually get stuck in the pink stuff. And if it gets stuck in the pink,
but
you're having to pull and
surely-
trail at it to try and get it out.
no,
So
you gently spread it and draw back.
you could spread it and draw it back. You could spread it and draw it back.
Yeah.
Right, Ben. Kickstarters. We have some doozies. What are we looking at this week?
Yeah, so we're kicking off with some stuff to do with pirates. So the first game we're going to be looking at is from Travis Hancock, who's part of Facade Games. And this is a game for 4 to 9 players, and it plays in around 20 to 40 minutes. And it's all based around this sort of hidden role and team, hidden team sort of aspect of things.
Yes.
Where you're actually going to be working for either the British or the French, but you won't exactly know. And so what you'll be doing each turn is you'll be revealing events, and you'll be calling for actions, and then each player will be voting on these, and you'll be trying to see if it will resolve in the right way. And it's all about trying to move the treasure from one ship onto the island or onto your own ships as well, while also battling pirates and things at the same time. And it's all about trying to make the right ploys and have people on the right side of your sort of on your team until just the right moment when you can sort of do them over and stuff like that. Yeah, it looks really fantastic. The presentation of this game is one of the things that really stuck out to me. It's got some fantastic artwork, and it comes in this wonderful box book, as it were, which just looks stunning. It's one of the things that I think a lot of people, a lot of companies now need to look at doing with their board games, in making them look nice on the shelf, because as well as them being a game in of themselves, they're also something that you like to show off as a collection and stuff. It's a little bit like books, like nice book covers and things like that are stuff that sticks around on your shelf for a while.
Ben, you can stop beating around the bush. Every Kickstarter participant knows that they're buying ornaments now.
Basically,
they're buying so many board games, they're becoming ornaments. So it's
Well, whenever your gaming room looks like our set, know
know you've got a Kickstarter problem. It's like But no, I agree. The packaging is absolutely crucial now, and we saw it with Dungeon Saga. Actually, it was one of my favorite things with Dungeon Saga was the fact that they all came in the little book kind of binded boxes, and at home, I have the 4 of them sitting there as nice big kind of like binded book boxes, and I think it looks great. I love that. And not only do I think it looks great, I don't have other board games sitting around it. It kind of got devoted a little shelf of its own because it did look so cool.
Yeah.
And I like this as well. I also love the concept of this game, Ben.
Yeah.
It has an elegance about it, doesn't it?
Yeah, it's one of those games that's sort of fitting into that sort of simple, everybody could play it kind of thing.
Yeah.
We've seen it a lot with the likes of Secret Hitler, and it already started off with this kind of thing that came from Cards Against Humanity and things like that. And even Love Letter has that same feel to it.
Yeah.
It's that interesting thing of everybody likes that idea of interacting with people at the tabletop, and a lot of games out there will allow you to do that. A lot of them won't, but this one's that one where it's got that nice social aspect to it as well, and it's got a nice theme to it. Like everybody knows and likes pirates as well, so it should work down pretty nicely. And it's one of the big things that they really wanted to push is that it really sort of engages a little bit of discussion between the different players. And it's one of those things where you're like, "Oh, what are you doing? Why are you on his team? Why are you trying to get money out of here or whatever?" and things like that. So, yeah, it should be good with a few drinks. A choice glass of rum or two might not go down too badly.
Absolutely. I think that's one that kind of goes on to your kind of must-buy list. It looks like a fairly low-risk proposition. There's nothing in there component-wise that would make me overly concerned about it as a Kickstarter. It's well-funded, but it doesn't look like it's funded to the point of bursting at the seams.
Hang on,
5 days left.
Warren, let me just bring this up again.
Yes.
They were looking 10k to start.
Yeah.
It's now 251k.
Yes, but there's nothing in there It doesn't look like a pile of additional complicated stretch goals and things like that. There.
Yeah.
Okay, now I get what you're saying.
It looks.
Sorry, I thought you were saying it's funded and well funded, but not that well funded.
Yeah,
Actually,
I am now trying to be sensible and trying to become your Kickstarter condom these days to try and give you some level of protection against the thing. So as I'm a big rubber Johnny Kickstarter dude. So I'm just trying to remind you to be careful, okay? 5 days left, okay?
Yeah.
So if you want to get stuck in there, you need to be quick.
Definitely worth a
You
look.
need to be quick. Right, next up we have more pirates, by the looks of it. British versus pirates. 18 days left. They are pushing towards their funding. Oh, it's little boats. I'm excited. Right, okay, little boats, Ben, you've got me. What is it?
Yeah, so this is British vs. Pirates, with a little bit more of a heavier pirate game rather compared to Tortuga. This one's by Apollo Randall, and it's a game that could be played with 2 players, just one on each team, or you can add multiple players to have sort of a proper team fight of up to 6, with a game time of about 45 minutes. So it's going down that sort of route of being sort of part board game, part miniatures war game, without the sort of added hours and stuff that you might spend putting together a big tabletop experience, for example. The whole idea of the game is that one team will play as the pirates, the other team will play as a band of British privateers or whatever, and you'll be fighting it out on a series of different missions using these hex-based grids. The sort of missions that you might be going on might be to get to a certain point on the map or to collect certain things, maybe even just wiping each other out as well. And it's got some really fascinating aspects to it in terms of the way that you build your crew and you build up your sort of fleet of ships, in that you'll choose characters, and each of these characters will have certain skills that will work really nicely with particular ships, like sloops, frigates, galleons, and the like. But that doesn't necessarily mean you have to go down that route if you want to try and mix up the tactics a little bit more. So it's got a little bit of sort of almost like list building elements to it that you would be familiar with from wargaming, which is pretty cool. But obviously linking together captains and ships that work nicely means that you get some very cool combinations and stuff. The mechanics are very, very simple. It's all based around effectively 2 actions that you do on your turn. You can either decide to attack. Attacks are decided upon sort of the range from your target and things like that, as well as the sort of the condition of your crew, and then you can move around or you can pivot and stuff as well, which is all based on the wind. So it's actually properly pulling in that sort of age of sail aspect of things, where you've actually got to work out exactly the best positioning for your ships at the right time. For example, certain ships like the galleon, very heavily armored and armed, but it has a lack of maneuverability, can't sail too well into the wind as well. So you have to sort of work out exactly where you're going to be tactically and stuff, which is pretty, pretty cool. As I say, it's one of those games that sort of is trying to boil down that sort of larger wargaming feel of playing like an Age of Sail battle, but putting it down onto sort of a smaller grid-based experience, really. I've seen a couple of people talking about things that they've been talking about during the campaign. They're going to be adding a lot more ships and stuff to the combinations as the stretch goals go on as well. One of the big things that I think a lot of people would be really fascinated to see would be what they do in terms of other factions. It would be quite nice to. I mean, obviously, the British and the pirates are pretty cool. Gives you 2 nice, teams to play as well. It keeps it very, very simple. But it'd be nice to have some other factions in there. Maybe the Spanish and the French. A lot of the people that have done the reviews and previews have said this as well. Just to sort of mix things up and add a few more interesting sort of mechanics into the game as well. But yeah, just a pretty cool game if you're interested in ships of the line, basically. Yeah.
Fantastic. Well, ships are on my radar, I've got to say, because I'm trying to look into Trafalgar, but we'll be talking more about that on Backstage tomorrow. Okay, so Ben, what is our last one?
Yep, so the last one we're going to look at is a little bit different from Pirates. This one's very much more Weird World War focused. Now, everyone will know that Westwind are doing some fantastic stuff with like Secrets of the Third Reich and all those kind of things. And this is a sort of addition to that, sort of taking it to the wider battlefield away from the skirmishes and stuff. And this is them designing what's called the Panzer Mechs and sort of expanding upon their line. Now, they're going to be making, hopefully a series of resin and white metal mechs for you to use in your will. The main focus for this one is the one called the Jotun, which is looking absolutely amazing. But they're also looking forward to doing other bits and pieces in terms of one called the Stug Mech as well.
Yeah.
And you can also pick up some bits and pieces from the rest of their range too. As a Kickstarter exclusive as well, you also get the little mech pilot, which is very, very cool. So you could add some sort of scenario play based into this. But just a really small, interesting little Kickstarter from the guys at Westwind as they're trying to sort of add to their range and grow the Secrets of the Third Reich into a little bit more of an interesting sort of battle size thing. Really.
So the whole prospect of this Kickstarter is about creating the larger mechs. Then, yeah.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So it'll be very interesting to see. So have they? They've met their funding objective. They've got a Sherman mech is their next stretch goal, and the stretch goals don't look too far apart actually, Ben. So it could be quite interesting. This one.
All right,
So they're really sort of focusing in on doing a whole bunch of really interesting and sort of different designs. There's quite a few of them we've actually looked at in the past on our website as well in the news and stuff. So what I'll do is I'll put them into the links below, some of their concept art and stuff like that as well. But yeah, some cool stuff. And as I say, just one of those sort of slightly smaller Kickstarters that provide you an interesting sort of hobby project maybe to get stuck into, or maybe the start of a new hobby. A new side of your hobby as well.
Yeah.
Cool stuff.
I think it awesome. 21 days left on that one. Okay, right. That wraps us up for this week. If you want more, come across to beastsofwar.com. Join our backstage. We have a 7-day trial. You get that after you create a free account. You'll get an email to say how you can take a 7-day trial, where you'll be able to join us tomorrow on our extra long backstage show. So it's like a whole new show of this, but we're going to be talking some historicals. I think there's going to be Vikings in there. There's certainly going to be some Napoleonics that we're talking about.
We've got some hobby time stuff that we're showing off. And
we've got some pulp World War II things I'm going to try and melt his mind with a little
Warren,
bit.
you're sure you want to try me on World War II here?
Yes, I've got some cool pulpy kind of World War II stuff to talk about. So
okay.
I'm really looking forward to tomorrow's show. I think you would enjoy it too if you come across and had a go. I think you'll love the backstage show because it's a lot of fun. Right, Ben, thank you. Justin, thank you, and most of all, thank you guys. Go enjoy yourselves and have a great week of gaming. We'll see you again soon.
Humanity has been driven from Earth, but now it's time to take it back. Join the Reconquest and fight the Scourge on the Drop Zone Commander Hub at beastsofwar.com. Anime cyberpunk style meets skirmish combat in Infinity. Experience 8 high-tech factions and fight to control the human sphere at the Infinity Hub on beastsofwar.com.